Welcome to Stat Masters. I'm your host, Evan Ringler, and every week this season, I'll be bringing you 20 stats in under 20 minutes to help you win your fantasy leagues. All of the player stats that I mentioned in this video are from PlayerProfiler.com. I personally use the data analysis tools to do the majority of my research for these videos. Let's get started with number one, the Patriots Offense. New England currently ranks 24th in plays per minute over expected per fantasy life, and 25th in dropback rate over expected. In Drake May's small sample, he has a sack rate of 11% and a scramble rate of 13%. Currently in our rest of season projections, we have the Patriots ranked 26th in total play volume and 29th in total pass attempts. The Patriots O-line also ranks 25th in yards before contact per attempt. When you combine all of these stats, I just don't see how much fantasy production could really come from this offense, outside of Drake May's rushing and big play ability. In order for a wide receiver to truly matter in New England, they would have to command a truly elite target share, and I just don't see that happening. Number two is the Falcons Offense. They currently rank second in plays per minute over expected and ninth in dropback rate over expected per fantasy life. Kirk Cousins has the lowest sack plus scramble rate of all quarterbacks. This means that dropbacks turn into pass attempts at a very high rate. This should be a smash spot for Drake London, and we have him ranked as an easy wide receiver one for the rest of the season. Darnell Mooney and Kyle Pitts could be usable options as well, but certainly not elite. And I think that Bijan could be much more impactful in the passing game going forward, as his targets have dipped recently. Number three is the Raiders' offensive line. The Raiders' O-line ranks first in run blocking rating at 71.6, while the Ravens are second at 52. That's a huge discrepancy. And there's another huge discrepancy in yards before contact per attempt, where the Raiders rank first at 3.51 and the Ravens rank second at 2.48. Despite this elite run blocking, Zamir White and Alexander Mattison rank 45th and 43rd respectively in yards per carry, among 45 running backs with 40 or more carries. Those two running backs also rank 45th and 42nd in true yards per carry. Simply put, this is the worst group of running backs in football, and they're completely wasting a brilliant offensive line. Number four is the Jets' offensive line. They currently rank last in run blocking rating at 6.3, while the Dolphins are second to last at 15.8. They also rank last in yards before contact per attempt at 0.91, while the Steelers are in second to last at 1.16. The Jets have been by far the worst run blocking offensive line in the league, and this is despite seeing very light boxes. Among 57 running backs with 30 or more carries, Breece Hall ranks 56th in average box count, while Braylon Allen ranks 55th. This insanity speaks to how their inefficient run game is not at all an indictment on the talent of their running backs. However, we should probably expect these trends to continue, making Breece and Braylon much harder to stomach in fantasy. Like I've said multiple times on this show, the Jets are likely to be a dumpster fire in 2025 and beyond. I would recommend serious caution when projecting Jets players in Dynasty. Now let's go to a quick word from the Podfather.
Oh, every week I'm answering these start-sit questions on Sunday morning. I go to the weekly rankings on PlayerProfiler.com just to make sure that my instincts are correct, and sometimes they're not. And guess what? More often than not, I go with the projections. You may not feel great about starting Daniel Jones or Wan'Dale Robinson, but the projections say, hey, that's the move. It may not feel right, but you use those projections to get it right. That's the power of the Player Profiler system. It's Evan Ringler, it's Bradley Stalder, it's Theo Greminger, of course, it's Billy Muzio making these rankings possible. The season rankings, so you know who to pick up, who to trade for. The dynasty rankings are part of this. The offensive line rankings from Dan Fornick, one of the best in the business. Then we get our cornerback rankings, which show which corners are matched up with which wide receivers. And now, in collaboration with the IDP show, we have IDP rankings. Did you know that? Did you? So go to playerprofiler.com, use promo code PODFATHER, Get you 25% off the player rankings package right now at playerprofiler.com. Enjoy!
All right, now we're going to talk about a brand new stat created by Dario Offstein that can be found at playerprofiler.com. And this is EPX. EPX measures the explosiveness of every skill player by looking at their rate of explosive plays and their volume of explosive plays. 100 is always average. We're going to start by looking at the rushing EPX leaderboard. Among running backs with 50 or more carries, these are the best running backs in terms of rushing EPX. We have Jordan Mason at 127, Chase Brown at 121, and J.K. Dobbins at 121. Then Derrick Henry and Jerome Ford tied at 120. These are the most explosive running backs in the league so far. Who are the least explosive running backs, though? Well, we have Kyron Williams at 85, and then Zach Moss and Rico Dowdle tied at 91, Javonte Williams at 93, and Rachaad White at 96. I think all of these check out via the eye test. Now let's take a look at the receiving EPX leaderboard for wide receivers. Among receivers with 100-plus routes run, these are the best wide receivers in EPX. We have Jayden Reed at 140, Nico Collins at 134, Jameson Williams and Jauan Jennings tied at 133, and George Pickens at 130. The least explosive receivers, it's a four-way tie at 77 between Jahan Dotson, Greg Dortch, Van Jefferson, and Keenan Allen. And then there's Jackson Smith and Jigba at 81. Now we're going to look at James Cook. Cook is currently the RB9 in points per game, but the RB25 in expected points per game. Among 35 running backs with 50 or more weighted opportunities this season, James Cook ranks 32nd in juke rate, 32nd in breakaway run rate, 29th in rushing EPX, 34th in yards created per carry, and he's 7th in run blocking rating. To be fair, Cook's receiving stats are pretty good. He ranks 2nd in ADOT and 5th in yards per route run. However, Josh Allen is not targeting the running backs, resulting in a target share just north of 10%. While James Cook has produced as an RB1 so far this season, I view him more as a middling or low-end RB2. Ray Davis's breakout game last week could also complicate matters, and I wouldn't be shocked if he starts siphoning carries from Cook, although Ray Davis is injured and may not play this week. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Now let's look at the receiving EPX leaderboard for tight ends. Among tight ends with 100 or more routes run, these are the best tight ends in EPX. We have Dallas Goedert at 139, Brock Bowers at 125, and Travis Kelce at 115. And the least explosive tight ends, it's a three-way tie between Noah Fant, Jordan Akins, and Johnny Munt. Well, what about quarterbacks? This is passing EPX for all quarterbacks with 100 or more dropbacks. We have Brock Purdy and Jared Goff tied at 124, and Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love tied at 116. The least explosive quarterbacks through the air are Jacoby Brissett at 76, Deshaun Watson at 78, Will Levis at 85, and Daniel Jones at 87. Once again, I think this is pretty well corroborated with the eye test. What about rushing at the quarterback position? Well, the most explosive rushers are actually Geno Smith at 127, Kyler Murray at 121, Caleb Williams at 114, Lamar Jackson at 111, and Baker Mayfield at 108. So you see some scramblers in there that aren't necessarily thought of as rushers, like Geno, Caleb, and Baker. But then you also see some prolific rushing quarterbacks like Kyler and Lamar. Stat number 11 is the Arizona Cardinals running back target share by game. So in week 1, they had a 20% target share. Week 2, 10%, then 3%, 10%, 13%. But last week, they jumped all the way up to 39% target share for the running backs. We can all hope that this is a trend and not an outlier. as we would all love for James Conner to see more work through the air. However, the odds are that the Cardinals will revert to their previous ways of not targeting the running back position. Number 12, Jauan Jennings. Among 80 wide receivers with 100 or more routes run this season, Jauan Jennings ranks 4th in yards per route run, 17th in target rate, 13th in target rate versus zone specifically, and 3rd in receiving EPX. Even if you remove Jennings' 46-point game in Week 3, he still has a target rate of 22.4%, which would rank well above average. Jennings is a good player that is clearly liked by Kyle Shanahan. In 2025, Ayuk, Debo, and Jennings will all be under a contract, barring a trade. I'm not sure where first-round rookie Ricky Pearsall fits into this. We might have to wait until 2026 for Pearsall to see a full-time role. Number 13 is the Bills' brand new receiver, Amari Cooper. Cooper is the wide receiver 10 in expected points per game, but the wide receiver 43 in actual points per game. Among 80 receivers with 100 or more routes run, Amari Cooper ranks 1st in unrealized air yards, last in points per game over expected, 12th in target rate versus man, 77th in target quality, and 3rd in air yard share. Amari Cooper is exactly what the Bills have been lacking, an outside wide receiver that can reliably win versus man coverage. I'm expecting great things down the stretch this season, although it may take some time for him to get comfortable in his new situation. I'm treating him more as a wide receiver 3 this week, but a middling to high-end wide receiver 2 after that. Number 14 is Jackson Smith-Njigba. JSN is the wide receiver 34 in points per game on wide receiver 23 expected points per game. He leads the league in snaps and slot snaps among wide receivers, as Seattle is the pass-heaviest team in the NFL. Among 80 receivers with 100 or more snaps or slot snaps, JSN ranks 46th in target rate, 38th in target share, 70th in ADOT, 53rd in air yard share, 31st in yak per reception, 62nd in yards per route run, and 76th in receiving EPX. JSN is a tough player to figure out. There are clearly flashes of the huge potential we saw at Ohio State, but the consistency and per route metrics just haven't been there. I honestly think JSN is probably still a good wide receiver that's just surrounded by talented players, but in order for him to produce at the level we think he's capable of, he might need a perfect situation, which is always unlikely to happen. He probably just falls into that flat range of wide receiver 3s where there's, 20 to 30 different guys that all produce the same. Number 15, we'll be looking at money throws versus danger plays. 2 quarterback stats you can find on Player Profiler. So far this year, there are 3 quarterbacks with 100 or more dropbacks that have more money throws than danger plays this season. Aaron Rodgers has 14 money throws to 5 danger plays, the best ratio in the league. Joe Burrow has 12 money throws to 8 danger plays. Josh Allen has 11 money throws to 9 danger plays. And then Kyler has 5 of each. The current leader in danger plays is Dak Prescott with 15, and he's also 3rd in money throws at 11. My takeaway from this is that Dak Prescott is really slinging the ball all around the yard, and the only way for him to move the ball is to try and make these money throws. Meanwhile, Kyler is being very reluctant. He's just trying to hit open windows, and if they're not there, he's just scrambling. Number 16, Jalen Polk. Among 46 wide receivers with 150 routes run, Jalen Polk ranks 45th in yards per route run at 0.51, barely better than Elijah Moore. He ranks 40th in target rate at 15%. He's tied for 43rd in receiving EPX with Wandale and Elijah Moore. Not good company. He's 44th in expected points per game and dead last in actual points per game. That being said, I don't think it's completely over for Jalen Polk. He also ranks 43rd in target accuracy, 45th in slot rate, 22nd in unrealized air yards, and 13th in ADOT. May is obviously a big upgrade for Polk, and hopefully they can scheme up some easier touches over the middle. However, these numbers are still very alarming. Number 17, Jayden Reed. Reed ranks first in EPX, first in explosive plays, first in target quality, fourth in yards per route run, and third in yak per reception. I am still a bit skeptical, as Reed is scoring 5.2 points per game over expected. But he might just be a model breaker. He's a very rare player, as he can win underneath and take short catches to the house, or win downfield at the catch point. You don't see that too often. I absolutely love Jayden Reed as a player, but some skepticism is warranted. He is likely to be a boom or bust player. Number 18, Brock Bowers. As a rookie playing with Minshew and O'Connell, Bowers is the tight end 1 in terms of target rate and yards per route run. He also ranks second in EPX, third in expected points per game, second in actual points per game, and fourth in air yards share. Brock Bowers is the prince we were promised. He will compete for tight end 1 overall this season and likely for many years to come. He is nearly an untouchable asset in many dynasty formats. In honor of our IDP rankings collaboration with my friends at the IDP show, I'm going to be including some IDP stats in these videos going forward. And we'll get that started with number 19, Jared Verse. Among 120 players with 100 or more pass rush snaps this year, first-round rookie Jared Verse for the Rams ranks second in pressure rate, third in pass rush win rate, and fourth in true pass set win rate. Verse is already an elite pass rusher 5 games into his career. This is unprecedented territory, especially doing so on a defense that lacks talent overall. Choosing between Verse, Dallas Turner, and Latu was an impossible decision in rookie drafts this year, but it looks like Verse was clearly the correct choice so far. And our last stat is Zack Baun. Among 35 linebackers to play 300-plus snaps this season, Eagles linebacker Zack Baun ranks 4th in pass rush snap rate, 5th in tackle rate, and 9th in tackle opportunity rate. This is exactly what we want to see out of our linebackers and IDP. A high floor by way of efficient tackling and high snaps, plus somebody who rushes the passer a lot, which leads to big plays. Thanks for joining me this week on Stat Masters, and I'll see you again next week.